You're back with a global business report. The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, has unveiled its latest world economic outlook at the annual meetings in Marrakesh. The forecast indicates a slowing trend in global growth, with estimates pointing to a decline from 3.5% last year to 3.0% in the current year, and a further dip to 2.9% in 2024. Our ICE correspondent Nkechi Nnana reports.
The global economy is limping along, not sprinting.
The International Monetary Fund's updated World Economic Outlook shows a slowing trend in global growth, with estimates pointing to a decline from 3.5% in 2022 to 3% in 2023, and a further decline to 2.9% in 2024. These projections linger below the historical average of 3.8%, and the outlook for 2024 has dipped by 0.1 percentage point since July.
The global economy continues to recover from the pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, showing remarkable resilience, yet growth remains slow and uneven. Important divergences are appearing. The slowdown is more pronounced in advanced economies than in emerging markets and developing economies.
The IMF highlights that only the United States is on a path to surpass its pre-pandemic growth levels, with GDP expected to rise by 2.1% in 2023 and 1.5% in 2024. On the other hand, Euro area countries and China find themselves in a challenging position due to the ongoing war in Ukraine and an unprecedented property crisis. It's particularly concerning for Germany, which is now anticipated to face a deeper recession than initially thought. Turning our attention to Nigeria, growth is expected to decelerate from 3.3% in 2022 to 2.9% in 2023.
For Nigeria, in particular, we have a growth forecast that goes from 3.3% this year to 2.9% next year, before going up to 3.1% in 2024. There's a downward revision for this year. Partly this is because of the demonetization, the high inflation, the shocks to agriculture and hydrocarbon output. That's coming on top of those external headwinds. I would also add that President Tinubu has moved quickly with important reforms, including ending the fuel subsidies and unifying the official exchange rate. We welcome these initial bold reforms because we see them as paving the way towards stronger and inclusive growth.
This slowdown is attributed to the adverse impact of high inflation on consumption. While there's a measure of relief on the horizon, the global headline inflation set to steadily decline from its peak last year. The forecast indicates a decrease to 5.9% in the fourth quarter of 2023, and further drops below 5% are expected in 2024.
Between June and September, oil prices have increased by about 27%. On the back of extended supply cuts from OPEC plus countries, before falling back more recently by about 8%.
From the IMF projections, a combination of pandemic fallout, geopolitical tensions, and challenges like inflation control, fiscal policy shifts are hindering economic recovery. The fund says adaptation and strategic planning is crucial moving forward. Nkechi, Nnana, Arise News.
Yeah, joining us live now from Marrakesh. They're live on the ground from the IMF World Bank annual meetings is Nkechi Nnana. Thank you so much, Nkechi. A good morning to you out of Lagos. Of course, it's getting to the second day of the annual meetings. Tell me about some of the what's going on at the meetings, and in particular the meetings you've got with Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Wale Edun.
All right, Bosin, good morning and thanks for having me. Yes, I just snuck out of a meeting actually that involves the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Economy, Mr. Wale Edun. It's the Africa Group constituency meeting where they're talking about policies to mitigate the debt crisis and high debt burden that emerging economies are suffering from, and also the lengthy debt restructuring. And the minister actually spoke, and he was clamoring for the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to put together sort of a debt resolution framework to help Nigeria mitigate the shocks from the pandemic. We also heard him talking about how Nigeria is focusing on mitigating and increasing the net zero goals. And when you talk about those net zero goals, we know that the IMF and the World Bank have continuously said that, look, if we want to meet these net zero goals, the government alone cannot do it with public funds. It's going to increase debt again. And so the private sector comes into play, and it's very important because the money that is needed to reach these goals annually is $2 trillion. And so if you have just public funding reaching for climate financing, it's just not going to work. And so it's important for us to hear more from the minister about how Nigeria tries to include and make it easier for private sector to get investment when it comes to climate financing, Bosun.
All right, thank you so much, Nkechi Nnana, Rice News correspondent out there in Marrakesh. It's going to be a very busy day for you. Today's another one with a whole lot on the agenda. Thank you so much for your time. We'll touch in base with you later in the day. You're watching.